What is going on, guys? Joey here, and today I'm going to touch on some of the points that we just did with a collaborative post between me and Big Will. I have done this kind of style in the past. I didn't actually directly pull up the post, but I was sitting here about to record this video, and I was like, well, I might as well give you guys something to read in the meantime, instead of just me chilling here with the notes on the screen. For those of you that don't follow me on Instagram. And basically, what Will's touching on in this post is that regress to push forward. So he's specifically talking about there's going to be times in your training when you need to take one step back to take two steps forward. Let me give you guys an example. Let's use Keiko as an example, right? I'm sure you guys all know who young Keiko is. Safe travels to Mexico, Keiko. I believe your event is this week. We had basically been competing for like almost 8 years, like 7 years, 6, 7 years, something like that. And he just needed a couple months to sort of deload the body, take a step back, address all the little aches and pains, lift lighter, add more variation. The expectation during that time was that we're probably going to get a little bit weaker. But as you guys saw, he's basically almost back to where he was before. And he doesn't have those issues. And sometimes, especially with the way that the competition schedule is now, when you're, at that level and you have to do nationals, worlds, Sheffield, nationals, world, Sheffield, nationals, world, Sheffield, or Sheffield, worlds, um, and you always have to go all out, right? You literally always have to go RPE. You're hitting RPE 10 basically every 3 to 4 months. It's gonna eventually wear on you. And sometimes you just need to take a step back and recalibrate things. And basically when you're doing that process, when you're going through that process of allowing things to kind of decompress, you need to understand and have the right expectations, right? You guys see in my notes I say focus on lowering pain and recovery. Yes, that is the goal. You need to be able to operate and move the competition lifts, I would say somewhere around the 70% range with absolutely no pain, 70 to 75%, and then you can start working your way back up, and that might take a little while to get to, right? It's not something that a normal deload would not address this situation, right? Those deloads are going to help us from block to block, week to week, things like that. But occasionally, and again, this is like a very specific scenario, you're going to need to take some time to like recalibrate some things. Taylor Atwood's probably doing that right now. All right, I'm almost certain he's doing something like that right now with the full intention of returning. Um, but everybody's different, right? Everybody has their own. For some of you, right? If you're very built for powerlifting, you have short joints, or sorry, you have thick joints and short limbs. You probably don't need to do this that often. Um, Now, if you're not built for powerlifting, you might need to do this more frequently. Wow, that is extremely bright. Um, it's fine. It's just light in my eyes. And then I guess I'll just kind of read through this post here for those of you that haven't seen it already. You're not going to be your strongest all time, but the mindset of going into these types of training phases is important. Setting the right expectations and having a goal for a phase can give an athlete reassurance that some downtime is normal. I mean, in any sport, right? Let's use like American football, for example. I got to say that because we have international people here. In American football, I remember reading about a very famous free safety, Troy Polamalu, probably before a lot of your guys' time. I actually met his teammate, James Harrison. And he would talk about how during the off season there was no football for like the first couple months. No football, didn't want to see it, didn't want to hear it, didn't want to do nothing because once you're in season, it's literally all football. Um, I would say in powerlifting, you probably need to be training 9 to 10 months out of the year, at some capacity, and then even when you're not training, like you're going to compete, you're still doing something. That can be more variation, much lighter weights. Maybe you don't touch a barbell. Not touching a barbell is a good way to think about it. Let's continue in the post. It's common to reduce frequency after a meet or a high stress phase. This is done to desensitize from stimulus to be able to add it back in when you can benefit from it later on. You see this more with high frequency benchers, but it can also be applied to some squat and deadlift layouts. Yeah, so one thing that I really like about just like philosophy, the way that we do things is you're reducing workload and I like to take like let's say we bench 3 times a week and I need to run somebody up to 5 times a week because their body shows me that or their training shows me that. And we'll do that for periods of time, right? We'll do that for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever. 4 months you're pushing it, but I like to take it back down to 3 for a short period, maybe go back up to 4. If you can go down to 3 or 4 and you're at a similar strength level than where you're at 5, you've now reset and you have somewhere to go, right? You're not just like you cannot just operate at that super high frequency forever. I promise. You will break eventually. Um, if you got stronger benching 6 times a week and you're reducing that frequency to 5 times a week, you'll likely feel a bit rusty and drop in strength. This is temporary, and you can expect to see. See, Will, I didn't even read that, right? And we are already on the same page. I didn't even read it. Crazy. Moving on to pain and injury, breaking it down a little bit more. The most common situation where we see performance dip is when dealing with injury or pain. So, a trap that lifters can find themselves in is, let's say you have some sort of pain and you're going into the gym and you're lifting like just below what you would need to lift to stimulate growth, but you're still doing some work and you have pain and you're kind of perceiving that pain as like difficulty. So you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, I'm doing hard work. I'm putting work in. You know, this feels like a higher RP than it actually is because you have pain, but you're not realizing that because you have pain." Have I said pain enough yet? Um, you can fall into this trap of thinking that you're being productive in the gym, but you're actually kind of spinning your wheels and you're not really doing enough to push yourself forward, to push yourself into a range where you can actually progress and move forward. So you may need to take a step back to address that pain. And you might lose some progress when you do that, but at the end of the day, you simply cannot move forward unless you get rid of this obstacle, right? It just is what it is. To get back to full health, you'll likely need to decrease overall stress. Finding the right moment of stress you can manage. Finding the right amount of stress you can manage can be challenging, but the less you need to change, the more strength you will retain. I can see that. I've had instances for myself where I've been doing a lot of incline bench, and for some reason, when I go back to the flat benching, it's like I didn't really lose a beat. I'll be like stronger sometimes. It's very strange. That's specific to me. I'm still benching or pressing with somewhat of a high frequency. When dealing with pain, it's unrealistic to expect it to diminish right away. Yep, you got to give yourself grace. You got to give yourself some time. Having the intensity of pain come down while hitting a similar load is a sign of progress. Yes, that is. It's like you're changing your metric of moving forward, right? It's not just number go up, it's same number less pain, progress, right? Or less number lower number significantly less pain, right? At the end of the day, it's about moving forward however you need to do it. Moving on to technique adjustments. Making technique adjustments may take some time. If you have been lifting in a particular motor pattern for an extended period, sorry, this GIF is messing with me. You may find it difficult to break some habits. Yes. You may have to take the shoes off, change your foot angle, move your grip. I think if you're going to have a longer off season where you're going to address those things and you're just not doing the comp lift and you're doing other movements, that simply not doing the comp lift will probably help you ingrain a new habit Although for me personally, it's like your body never really forgets. It's kind of like riding a bike. You have to really practice if you're gonna make a change. Um, Working with some maximal loads will likely be needed to execute new cues to their utmost efficiency. So let's say you're changing from conventional to sumo, for sure you're gonna want to lower the weight, 100%. And especially pretty much any stance change. So conventional to sumo or grip, close grip to wide grip or vice versa. You're gonna have a number in your head that you're used to hitting, but you need to like throw that out and just kind of like take what your body's giving you and be objective. And you gotta let go. This is the hardest part, letting go of, man, I need to be hitting these numbers. Technical difficulties. I need to be hitting these numbers, or I'm not going to be, where I'm supposed to be. Some athletes will get cues down right away, but others may struggle to be consistent with them. It can be frustrating, but with time you can make gradual improvements and eventually have those changes become second nature. Yep. So if I tell a lifter I want you to stop dive bombing into the hole on squat, or generally just adding more tension to their squat and more control to their squat, I would say it takes like about a month, like 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and then they really start to get it over time. Maybe by like the 8th or 12th week, they really, really have it down, and then we can really start seeing the fruits of that labor. There may be times when you reduce stress and end up feeling better, stronger. This may mean that you were doing more than what you needed in the first place. I will give you guys an example soon because I want to see it through to the end, but I did significantly reduce one of my lifters. It literally took his lower body work down by like 30%, and he's just doing better on every lift, even bench. Managing pain is different than inhibiting pain. As long as you are able to be precise with your threshold, you should still be able to get work in. We're pushing our bodies, so discomfort is okay. I could confidently say that I was never comfortable. I was never comfortable like anytime I squatted over maybe like 700. I mean, I could do it and it was fine and it was like whatever, but it was not comfortable. So also benching like a third bench in a meet, super uncomfortable. My whole body, I cannot even maintain that for that long. Trust that your strength will come back once you're healthy and able to do your normal training. You're doing less work, so it's natural for there to be a performance dip. And I think just to kind of hit it home, you got to have the right expectations. You got to understand that, at the end of the day, your goal is no longer big total right now. My goal is preserve total, get better, right? Is what it is. I hope you guys are able to take something away from that. If you don't know who Will is, you can find him at flextrainingsystems.com under the coachings tab. You can see his testimonials there. I often do collaborations with him on my page. He's been a coach on the team for a long time. I want to say about 5 years now, maybe more. And he's a great guy. I trust him a lot. And he's really been knocking it out of the park with the informative stuff. And yeah, if you guys have any more questions, please let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.